free world.
Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up.
Hail to the culture. We are back as always. It is your boy Rome here with my man Bryce.
Yo.
And we're about to just jump right into it, man. We are 1-9. There's no need to sugarcoat anything. But let's talk about the one positive thing or the few positive things that we do got going on. We're going to start off with Dwayne Haskins. He had a little bit of an up and down start. Bryce, what was your takeaway from what you saw against the Jets on Sunday?
Well, I think I'm in the minority. I was actually at the game against the Jets, and I've got a lot of takes from that game. We'll get into that.
You're definitely in the minority if you were actually at the game because attendance.
Well, you know what? You're definitely in the minority if you were a Redskins fan at the game. That's for sure. But yeah, man. So seeing it up close and personal, man, I never felt like. I felt really good about Haskins' performance, man, because this is how I look at it, right? I just want everyone just to like take a step back for a second, outside looking in on Haskins, right? The direct comparison for Haskins is Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones started the season started the preseason getting reps with the first team. Dwayne Haskins got 0 first-team reps until the last game of the preseason. Daniel Jones started the season he didn't start the season starting quarterback, but 2 games in was the starting quarterback of the Giants. Dwayne Haskins got a half of football. What was that, 6 games in against the Giants? How many games in were we got to the Giants? 5, 6 games in, and he only got a half of football, right?
Yeah,
so stick with
6.
me. Yeah, 6 games in, and he got a half. So what does this mean? This means his progression has been pretty much stunning, right? I mean, he's technically he's only played what now? 3 full games of football. Started 2, played 2 halves, so he's played 3 full football games with a first-team offense. 4 if you count the preseason. Daniel Jones already has 10 of those. See, and if you look at how both these quarterbacks started out, Daniel Jones was not sharp. He's had his moments of not being sharp at all. And Dwayne Haskins, on the other hand, has improved so far in every single appearance I've seen him. He's only gotten better. If he would have went out against the Jets and looked worse than he did against the Bills, I would have been very concerned. But I don't think anyone can argue that he looked better. I mean, he threw for 2 touchdowns. If it wasn't for a holding penalty, he would have had over 300 yards and possibly 3 touchdowns. Well, no, Terry McLaurin didn't score that. But he would have had over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, bro. Like, that would have been – just think about how the narrative changes if we're talking about this game right now and Dwayne Haskins had over 3 – I don't care what the score was. Just let's say Dwayne Haskins had over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Everybody's talking something different about Haskins right now, if that's the case, you know? And that just goes to show you how just one play, just one little holding call, just one little play in football can truly change the entire opinion. But I liked what I saw from Haskins. And to me, it was very encouraging, and I tweeted out, I've seen enough. Haskins is a franchise quarterback, and I stick by that.
Yeah, man, I agree with pretty much everything you just said. I see the improvement as well, and I think I said a while ago, once Haskins gets in there, we got to stick with it because it's gonna look ugly at times because he hadn't gotten any reps with the ones really. Like throughout preseason, pretty much the whole time Jay Gruden was here, Haskins wasn't really being prepared or getting any chances to showcase what he could do or be ready to even be out there. And your comparison to Daniel Jones is spot on because Daniel Jones did have all that time. There was a video, though, that went viral of Haskins kind of getting into it with the O-line. Did you see that, and what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man, that was another encouraging sign. You know what the crazy thing is, bro? I saw that from the crowd, bro. Because, I mean, you know, if anyone wants to go check out some football, I mean, you can still see professional football, technically. The tickets are cheap as they've ever been for the Redskins. So me and my brother, man, I think we were like in like the 7th row, and we paid $30 each for the tickets. So I'm watching Dwayne Haskins, and I literally saw him, man. Like the way he walked up to the O-line, like you can tell, like he was a man on a mission. Like you could tell, like that was not something that was like he thought about that. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't just one of those like rash, just try to jump on somebody and get in their face. Like you could tell that was a thought out move. You know what I mean? And like that's what I like to see. I like to see him taking the reins. Another thing that I'll say is the reaction from the O-linemen were disappointing, especially from one Tony Bergstrom, perhaps the worst O-lineman in the NFL. I mean, and the tape will show that. I mean, no offense to Tony Bergstrom. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he definitely wasn't a nice guy to Dwayne Haskins when he was snapping, and I get it. But what I saw a kid from a winning culture talking to a whole bunch of dudes from a losing culture. Them dudes from that losing culture, they don't have no urgency. They don't really care. They're used to this. This is what they do. They go out, they lose. It's just another Sunday. But you got this kid from a winning culture, a 50-touchdown kid, a kid that's not coming here to lose any game. He thinks he's already coming in with this preconceived notion that things are a little easier than they actually are because he's just so used to winning. And he gets around these dudes that look like they don't even care about winning. They're just chilling like it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I don't even think he came at them from a place of like, you guys are not playing well. I think it was like it's one thing to not be playing well. It's another thing not to be urgent. You know what I mean? And he was just asking them, seriously, like, what can I do to get y'all sparked up? Like, what's up? Like, what can I do to help you guys? Help me. Like, what? I'm trying to help me. I need you to help me. You know what I mean? And like, it's not really a shot. Like, have you ever been on a team? If you never played pickup basketball and looked at your guys and told everybody to run back down the court, like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, get back on D. He was telling these guys to get back on D. You know what I mean? Like, that's all it was. Like, if you ever played pickup basketball and you've never said, watch the pick on your right side, he was telling these dudes, man, where's the pick on my right side, man? Call out the picks. You know what I mean? That's all he was doing. And, like, people just taking it the wrong way, man.
Yeah, man, I agree once again, man. I love seeing all of it, and or at least from Haskins' side, but it did bother me some of the O-line reaction. And I'm gonna get on Morgan Moses, man, because he kind of like high-fived him and kind of tried to just like, oh yeah, man, we get it, like chill, like it's whatever. Like he kind of almost just waved him off, and that's when Haskins got even more riled up. It was like, nah, like F that, like, you know what I mean? Like what do I need to do to help y'all and all that? So I loved it, and I agree completely, bro. Like, it's when you come from a winning college like Ohio State, and then you end up with a 1-8, 1-9 team, and you got guys that haven't really won much since last year, really, and when they've been here longer than that, they haven't won much at all, period. So that's what happens. Haskins is trying to change the culture. He's trying to fix the culture that Bruce Allen believes is damn good. But we'll see what happens in the future. One thing that was damn good, though, one thing that definitely was damn good was the touchdown. The first touchdown, the one that ended the 16 quarters? It ended the streak.
2 games. It was 16 quarters? 4 games, excuse me. 4 full games.
It doesn't even sound real, man. Like, how you go 4 games with no touchdowns?
4 full games. That's crazy.
The bright spot was Haskins to Guice, both their first touchdowns. Haskins' first touchdown pass. Guice's first touchdown, period. And, that was honestly a magical moment, man. Like, I'm going to be honest, that was a classic Redskin moment. In a game where we're getting beat down, a game that nobody wants to remember, and then you have a moment like that where you have to stand up and you have to love it, Like, if you stuck with this team and you've been following this team, Haskins to Guice was literally what the doctor ordered. Like I know personally for me watching that game, and I'm not trying to, like, make any, like, messed up jokes or anything, but I was ready to just jump out a damn window, bro. I was done. I was ready to walk out on my balcony and just jump the hell off because I was sick of it. And then Haskins to Guice, bro, it was a lifesaver, man. It was what I needed, yo. It was perfect, and I know a lot of diehard fans out there probably definitely felt the same. But that was definitely something special to see Guice come back and get that touchdown.
Yeah, man. I couldn't agree more, bro. That was a special moment, man. Like, we were going crazy in the stands like we were up. And we were still getting crushed on the scoreboard. Like, that's the crazy thing about it, man. And that's what being a Redskins fan has, like, is for us, you know? Like, we're not even caring about the wins. We're just looking for some hope right now. You feel me? We're looking for some hope. And
it's desperate.
It's desperate, man. And seeing Haskins connect with Guice on that touchdown, it was definitely a glimpse of hope, man. And, hey, there's Guice, man. That dude is something special. You see why Jay Gruden was trying to feature him to start the season. You know, just one of the many injuries that ended in the demise of Jay. But Guice, man, that wiggle he has. Yeah, same. Yeah, man. We were both on board. We neither of us thought AP should have been benched or, you know, DNP'd. But like we didn't think of that. But at the same time, we both were on board with Guice. And like, man, Guice, man, like that jump cut he has, bro. Like that jump cut is something serious, bro. Like on that run, he hit the jump cut, and that's what led him to the score. He had another run. In the game. I think it was had to be about 13 yards, maybe. He had a crazy jump cut. I'm like, man, this dude got a little wiggle that we haven't really had since, like, Clinton Portis. I remember Clinton Portis. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. AP got it, but AP's not exploding after it, except that one play against the Eagles. But Guice hits that jump cut, and right after it, he's exploding to the end zone. You know what I mean? And, like, that's something special, man. And we got a glimpse of our future, man. Guice with Haskins and McLaurin, that's a big three on offense to really build around, bro. Like, and I know it's dark days, but if you just think about that for a second, bro, Haskins, Guice, McLaurin, like, that could be something special one day, bro.
Oh, it will be something special, man. I definitely believe that. And Guice, man, that performance was exactly what we needed to see. And I think, like we all know, Adrian Peterson is a future Hall of Famer. And I think, if I'm being honest, to me, that's who, when I watch Darius Guice, that's who I see the most out of. The combination of strength and agility and speed, like how you were just talking about his jump cuts, in that same vein, there were a couple of runs where he just lowered his shoulders right into guys. He'd make a little move, and then the next dude that he was on, he just hits you. So you don't know if Guice is going to fake left, right, spin move, whatever, or if he's just going to lower his shoulder. And that's one of the things that made AP so great back in his prime, and even to this day right now, really. And that's who Guice reminds me the most of. And I'm not saying that he's going to have some Hall of Fame career, but if he stays healthy, man, I think the sky is the limit.
Man, I couldn't agree more with that, bro. I definitely see a Pro Bowl in his future.
A couple. But we try to stay positive for as long as we can, but there's always some drama in Redskin Nation. So There is a little issue that we will get into quick. We're going to touch on that. Monte Nicholson was in the news, and it was not for anything positive. There was a young lady that passed away, and Monte Nicholson apparently, I don't know if anyone has read the story or heard the story, but he and a friend dropped her off at the hospital, where she was later pronounced dead. Monte Nicholson hasn't been charged with anything as of yet at the time of this recording. Bryce, but he did play in the last game. So, Bryce, what were your thoughts on all of this and him playing and all? There's a lot. So, yeah, just the floor is yours, bro.
Man, you a lot to unpack right there, bro. I mean, I guess I kind of got two schools of thought on this, man. Like, on one hand, you hear something like this, man, you can't help but think the worst, right? I mean, you hear someone drop someone off at the hospital, unconscious, later pronounced dead. You can't help but think the worst. It just is what it is. You think the person must have been somehow involved, right? And then you have the second school of thought, which is way more rational, way more rational, which is the fact that things happen, crazy things happen on a daily basis. And things are very unpredictable on a daily basis, and you can never predict the actions of another. And if you were in the presence of someone that you loved, that you cared about, and they all of a sudden, went unconscious, you don't know what your next move would be. Nobody knows, Nobody knows what they would do. So maybe in that moment, you can understand somebody's reaction being to get someone to the hospital as soon as possible and just get out of Dodge. Like, I can understand that. I can see it, So and I can also understand why some might question that type of action, right? So what really comes down to is after something like that, should it have been fully investigated before Nicholson was allowed to play. And it really comes down to what side of the fence are you on with that. And the problem with being on the side of saying he shouldn't play is that if you're on that side, you jump to conclusions and you are making assumptions. Because if you're not on that side, then you're just assuming that some crazy things happen. But if you're on the side that he shouldn't have played, then you're really just making assumptions and making conclusions with no evidence. And that's not what America is really built on. So I went back and forth on this a lot and thinking about, Monte and how, him playing, and heard his response, his comments. And, of course, I heard about what came out after the search warrant of his house, of his apartment or not, a condo, whatever. And, I'm still on the side that until we have a full investigation done, until we get answers, this could have very easily been a horrific accident. And if that's the case, then Monte Nicholson should not be blamed, and we should not be trying to persecute him before there's any evidence.
All right, well, this is the thing. So we should also note that the police are doing an investigation, and they searched Monte's house and found weed, pills, and tinfoil with some type of residue. But still, Monte has not been charged with anything yet. But I think that says a lot. And I also think that, like you said, in these kind of things, you have to let it play out. Earlier in the summer when the Redskins, or last season when the Redskins first took the waiver on Reuben Foster, and there was a lot of drama surrounding that, we both touched on it briefly, and we both were kind of the same vein that we're in now, which is you got to let these things play out. Whenever it's any type of criminal investigation or the police are involved, it's never right. It's not like sports. You don't want to make predictions. This isn't the kind of thing where you want to make any type of assumption or guesses. You need to let everyone involved do what they need to do. And once you get more facts and information, that's when you can really state your piece. So I don't really have a take on it other than we need to let this play out. The police have said Monte's working, cooperating. The Redskins have said, everything, he's cooperating and everything. So we will see. So I don't have any issue with him playing. I feel like if this was any other citizen, if it was me, you, whoever, we would all be allowed to go to work if we weren't charged with anything at all. So, that's all I really have to say about that. But yeah, let's move on real quick. Let's talk about the future, man. Let's talk about 2020. It's obviously a lost season, so we're 1-9. We might as well start looking towards the future and towards the draft. For anyone who doesn't know, Bryce definitely does a great job for the website, the Gas Sports website. Download the app. He does a great job breaking down the college game for us there. He does a weekly top players ranking. So with your vast knowledge of the college game, who do you think best fits the Redskins, and who should the Redskins be eyeing for the 2020 draft?
Oh, man, that's a great question. My first choice, man, I think this is about probably 80% of the league's first choice would be Chase Young from Ohio State. What makes it perfect is that he's from the Washington area. He went to DeMatha High School, so, he's familiar with the area already. Went to Ohio State, obviously. Dwayne Haskins went to Ohio State, Terry McLaurin. We would have that connection. And this dude is like, for anyone that hasn't really seen this game, if I had to compare him to someone, I would say he's kind of like a Jadeveon Clowney type. With even maybe Khalil Mack-ish a little bit. I mean, this dude is a wrecker. He wrecks the games, man. And I don't want to say Khalil Mack because obviously that's the best of the best. I went with Clowney because that's a little more attainable maybe. But like this dude is elite pass rusher. Day one. I mean, I know a lot of people say Montez Sweat was going to be impact day one. But I'm talking about this guy, Chase Young, is a day one. Pencil him in for 10 sacks, double digits from day one. This dude is a beast, man. And that would be my first choice. I'm going down the list, man. I'm always big on weapons. I feel like you have to have weapons for your quarterback. So I would love it. I would love to see us add one of these big time receivers. There's going to be two of them that I would love that would fit our needs: a height, weight, speed guy, as they say, red zone threat, and that would be Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama, who, if you haven't seen Judy, man, he's almost like a light version of Julio Jones. Or C.D. Lamb out of Oklahoma, man. C.D. Lamb, this guy, he reminds me of a Michael Thomas. You know, he gets the yak. He's tough. He's a grinder. And his hands, man, his ball tracking ability is just it's probably some of the best in the college game right now. So C.D. Lamb, that's my guy. Jerry Jeudy, that's my guy. But my top pick for the Skins right now will be Chase Young.
Yeah, man, I would like the Chase Young pick. Not to change subjects real quick, but let's talk about Montez Sweat real quick because I want to compare the pass rushers a little bit here. Like you mentioned that Chase Young would be a big impact player right away, and he most likely will be. I agree with that assessment. But like you also said, Montez Sweat was expected to be that, and we haven't really seen that from Montez. What are your thoughts when you judging Montez so far this season? What are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, man, that's a good question, man. Montez hasn't been horrible. You know, I think that we knew coming in it was going to take some time with him, right? I mean, you had to know that. I mean, the guy's the type of prospect that he's a physical specimen, but he's going to have to learn the game still a little more, at least the NFL game. Now, if you think that Montez Sweat, we're getting the most out of Montez Sweat, you already know that it's just a mistake to think that way. And if you need any proof, look no further than Preston Smith. Man, I used to count Preston. Hey, last year, somebody could easily pull up a pod where I was ragging on Preston. And I used to I honestly always liked Preston. I'm sure I said that too because Preston Smith is my guy. I liked him when he was here, but he just was so inconsistent, you know. We just never knew we were going to get with him. But look at him in Green Bay. They're unleashing him. They're using him to his strengths. They're using him the way you're supposed to use him. Now, if we could just get someone to do that with Montez Sweat, maybe we would see the real Montez. I just don't think that whenever you're talking about a Greg Minuski-led defense, I don't think we're getting the most out of any of our players. I mean, there's no way that Deron Payne, John Allen, and Matt Ioannidis should be getting gassed by friggin' Bilal Powell. It's just no reason for that, you know? But when you're not being used properly, bad things can happen. And I think that's just the case with Montez Sweat.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that, mostly because I've already gone down how I feel about Minuski. But let's give it a letter grade. I'm gonna say Minuski aside, that'll be like the little learning curve. Minuski aside, from what I've seen from Montez Sweat, just as a football player, I would say he's about a C right now. I give him a C. He's been pretty average. He hasn't been horrible and he hasn't been great. But it's tough because you're right with the scheme of everything. But I expected a little bit more, and I kind of see why he started to fall down in the first round. What grade would you give him?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably give him somewhere in that C range too. I mean, he hasn't done too much, but he hasn't been a huge weakness. I mean, I've seen him play well in the run game. I've also seen him get fooled on some basic misdirection plays, you know what I'm saying? So I'd have to give him somewhere around an average grade, man. It hasn't been good, hasn't been bad. It's just been a regular performance, and that's not what you're expecting when you take a guy that high.
Yeah, well, we do have 6 games left, so maybe he'll turn it on. So speaking of the games that are left, we got the Lions coming up. It's a home game. It's one of our last home games of the season. I think we got 2 more left after this one. Will you be attending this one? The tickets, I believe, are cheaper than some of these chicken sandwiches that are going crazy.
Hey, man, I might, bro. I might just wake up Sunday morning and say, why not? If the weather's nice, why not, man? You can get club seats for $20, first 10 rows for $30. I mean, you really can't beat that. It'll never probably be like this again. Well, at least let's hope not. If it's like this again, that means we're still trash. But, yeah, man, I might just go. Why not, man? Why not?
Yeah. Well, what are your expectations, man? What do you think you're gonna see?
Well, I'll say this, man. If Matt Stafford was playing, I would definitely expect this to get diced up, but he's not, and I think this gives the Redskins probably their best opportunity for a win the rest of the season. I mean, I expect a better game. I expect more improvement from Dwayne Haskins. Like I said, I've seen nothing but improvement from him so far. He showed me the same thing in the preseason, and I expect him to improve this game. And I haven't predicted this in a little minute, but I predict the Redskins will win this game. And I think in a big way. I don't just think we're going to win the game. I think the Redskins are going to win this game in a big way, and I think that everyone in the media, the whole talk the next day, Monday morning gossip is going to be, oh my gosh, why didn't they start Dwayne Haskins sooner?
Well, you know what? Let's do a little something like that. Let's start doing that. We could do like a Washington Post headline or the headline on the paper kind of thing. I think for the Lions game, I agree with you. I think we're going to win. I don't know how big, but I think the headline the next day will be Haskins and Guice 2020, and they'll be talking about the Redskins ticket for next season. They're just going to have to find a campaign manager, a coach to run it, because we all know Callahan is likely not it.
Yeah, man. I think that's something we definitely got to get into in the next pod, man. Who are our top choices? I've got a couple guys in mind.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned for the next pod. If you guys haven't already, download the Gas app so you can stay updated with the Hail to the Culture pod and much, much more. As always, man, it is Bryce and Rome. Hail to the Culture.
Hail to the Culture.
My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up.